The warning alarm screamed through the metal halls of Nexus Prime. Red lights flashed everywhere, making shadows dance on the walls like monsters. Kim Dae-ho ran down the corridor, his boots making loud sounds on the metal floor. His heart beat fast in his chest. Emergency! Emergency! Solar flare approaching. The computer voice spoke in the alien language, but Dae-ho understood it well. He had learned many alien languages during his 3 years on this station. Dae-ho reached the control room and saw chaos. Aliens of different types ran around, shouting orders at each other. The tall, blue-skinned Korthani moved with quick, sharp movements. The green, scaly Screeth worked at their computers with fast fingers. The bug-like Nethys clicked and buzzed in their own language. Commander Veltar stood in the center of the room. He was a Korthani, almost 8 feet tall, with silver eyes that looked down on everyone. His blue skin had dark markings that showed his high rank. When he saw Dae-ho, his face showed disgust. Human Veltar said in a cold voice, "Why are you here? This is not your concern." Dae-ho ignored the insult. He had heard worse in his 3 years here. "Commander, the solar flare will hit us in 2 hours. The shield system needs manual reset from outside the station." "We know this already," Veltar said. "Our engineers are working on it." Zixmol, the chief Screeth engineer, looked up from his screen. His green scales were pale with fear. "Commander, the automated systems are not working. The flare is too strong. Someone must go outside and reset the shields by hand. Then send a drone," Veltar ordered. "The radiation will destroy any drone," Zixmol said. "It must be done by a person in a radiation suit." The room became quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. Going outside during a solar flare was almost certain death. The radiation would cook anyone alive, even in the best protection suit. Dae-ho stepped forward. "I will do it." All the aliens turned to look at him. Some laughed, others looked shocked. "You," Veltar said with a mean smile, "a primitive human. You would die in minutes." "Maybe," Dae-ho said calmly, "but I know the shield systems better than anyone. I helped build them. I helped make them better. If anyone can do this job and live, it is me." This was true. For 3 years, Dae-ho had worked on every system in the station. He had fixed things that the aliens could not fix. He had made improvements that amazed even the smartest alien engineers. But they still saw him as just a primitive human. Holvex, the Nethi security chief, clicked his mandibles together. His insect eyes looked at Dae-ho with curiosity. "The human speaks truth. He knows our systems well. Better than most of us." Zixmol added quietly. Veltar's silver eyes became angry. "We do not need help from a lower species. We will find another way." "There is no other way," Dae-ho said. "In 2 hours, this flare will hit us. If the shields are not reset, everyone on this station dies. All 10,000 beings. Including you, Commander." Veltar looked at the main screen. It showed the massive solar flare racing toward them like a wall of fire and death. The energy readings were beyond anything they had ever seen. "Our suits cannot protect against this level of radiation," Zixmol said, "but humans... Humans are different. They survive things that kill us." Dae-ho nodded. "Human bodies handle radiation better than most alien species. I have the best chance of surviving long enough to reset the shields." Veltar was quiet for a long moment. His pride fought against his need to live. Finally, he spoke. "If you fail, we all die. If I do not try, we all die anyway," Dae-ho said. 30 minutes later, Dae-ho stood in the airlock wearing the station's best radiation suit. The suit was heavy and thick, designed to protect against the worst space dangers. But even this suit might not be enough against the coming flare. He checked his tools one more time. The shield reset required manual work at 3 different points on the station's outer hull. Each point was far from the others. He would have to move fast. Human Veltar's voice came through his radio. "You have 90 minutes before the flare hits. If you are not back inside by then, we will seal the station and leave you outside." "Understood," Dae-ho said. He did not expect anything different. The aliens cared only about themselves. The airlock opened, and Dae-ho stepped into space. The dying star hung before him like a giant red eye. Even through his suit's protection, he could feel its heat and anger. Dae-ho used his suit's small rockets to move to the first shield point. His hands worked quickly, disconnecting old parts and connecting new ones. The reset process was complex, but he had done it many times in safe conditions. The first point finished. 2 more to go. He moved to the second point on the station's side. Here, the work was harder. Some connections were damaged by space dust and time. Dae-ho had to cut away old metal and rewire systems by hand. His radiation meter began to beep. Faster. The flare was getting closer. The second point finished. 1 more to go. The third point was on the station's far side, the side facing the star. As Dae-ho moved toward it, his suit's alarms began to sound. The radiation was getting stronger. At the third point, Dae-ho's hands shook as he worked. The radiation was cooking him slowly, even through the thick suit. His head hurt, and he felt sick, but he kept working. Finally, the third point was done. The shields were reset. The station could survive the flare, but Daeho's suit was damaged. The radiation had burned through some of the protection. His air supply was leaking. His rockets were weak. "Shields are reset," he said into his radio. "I am coming back." But his damaged rockets could not push him fast enough. The airlock was far away, and his air was running out. "Commander," he called, "I need help. My suit is damaged. I cannot make it back alone." There was silence on the radio. "Commander, can you hear me?" Still silence. Then Daeho heard something that froze his blood. The aliens were talking to each other, but they had forgotten to turn off their radios. He could hear everything. "The human completed the reset," Veltar said. "The shields are working. Should we rescue him?" Zixmal asked. "Why?" Veltar replied coldly. "He is just a primitive human. His radiation suit is damaged. If we open the airlock now, radiation might get inside our station. We might be contaminated." "But he saved us all," Holvek said, "and now he has served his purpose." Veltar said, "We will mark him as dead in our records. A brave sacrifice for the good of all." "The flare hits in 10 minutes. Another voice said, "We should begin moving away from this system." "Agreed," Veltar said. "Start the engines. Set course for the next system." Daeho floated in space, listening to his own death sentence. These aliens, who he had worked with for 3 years, who he had helped and protected, were leaving him to die. They saw him as nothing more than a useful tool to be thrown away. His air meter showed only minutes left. The massive solar flare was racing toward him like a wall of burning death. And below him, the station's engines began to glow as it prepared. "To leave you. You are just going to leave me here," Daeho said into his radio. "Human." Veltar's voice came back, surprised. "You are still alive. For now," Daeho said. "Are you really going to abandon me after I saved all of you?" "Your sacrifice will be remembered," Veltar said without emotion. "You died a hero. I am not dead yet. You will be soon. The flare will reach you in 8 minutes. Even if we wanted to rescue you, there is not enough time. It is better this way. Quick and clean." Daeho watched the station move away from him, getting smaller and smaller. 10,000 aliens lived on that station. He had just saved all their lives and they were leaving him to die because he was human. The flare was visible now, a wall of fire racing across space. Daeho closed his eyes and thought about Earth, about his family, about the life he would never have. But then something inside him changed. The sadness became anger. The fear became rage. He was not going to die here, not like this, not after being betrayed by the aliens he had trusted. Somehow, some way, he was going to survive. And when he did, he was going to make them pay for what they had done. The flare hit him like the fist of an angry god, and everything went white. Daeho woke up in darkness. His head felt like someone had hit it with a hammer. Every part of his body hurt. For a moment, he could not remember where he was or what had happened. Then the memories came back. The solar flare, the betrayal, the aliens leaving him to die. He was alive. Somehow, impossibly, he was alive. Daeho tried to move and felt metal around him. He was inside something. His suit's emergency lights came on, showing him a small, dark space. He was in an escape pod, but not one from the station. This pod was different. Older, the writing on the walls was in a language he had never seen before. His suit's computer beeped weakly. The radiation readings were still high, but not deadly anymore. The flare had passed. His air supply showed only 2 hours left. "How did I get here?" he whispered to himself. Slowly, the memory came back. When the flare hit him, his damaged suit had exploded outward. The force had pushed him toward a piece of space junk, an old, dead pod floating in the asteroid belt. He must have crashed into it and somehow gotten inside. Daeho looked around the small pod. It was very old, maybe hundreds of years. The alien writing was carved into the metal walls, but the most important thing was that it still had some power and air. His suit was badly damaged. Burn marks covered the outside. The radiation detector was broken, but the life support still worked. Barely. He found the pod's control panel. The buttons were different from anything he knew, but engineers think alike, no matter what species they are. After an hour of careful work, he got the pod's systems working. The pod had been drifting in space for a very long time. Its original owners were long dead. But human luck and alien engineering had saved his life. But he was not safe yet. The pod's air would last only 6 more hours. The food maker was broken. The water recycler worked, but barely. He needed to find a real shelter soon, or he would die slowly instead of quickly. Daeho used the pod's weak sensors to scan the area around him. The asteroid belt stretched in all directions. Most of the rocks were just rocks. But one reading looked different. That there, hidden behind a large asteroid, was a structure. It was big, maybe the size of a small city. The sensors showed it had power and atmosphere. "What are you?" Daeho asked. "The darkness." He fired the pod's tiny engines and moved toward the structure. As he got closer, he could see it better. It looked like a mining platform, but much larger than any he had ever seen. Strange towers and equipment covered its surface. It was clearly very old, but not dead. The platform had docking bays. Deho guided his pod toward the nearest one. He had no choice. His air was running out. The docking bay opened automatically as he approached. Someone, or something, was still controlling this place. Deho felt fear, but also hope. Anything was better than dying alone in space. The pod settled into the docking bay with a soft thump. Air filled the bay around him. The platform's atmosphere was breathable for humans. Deho opened the pod's door and stepped onto the platform. The gravity was lighter than Earth normal, but comfortable. The air smelled old and metallic, but it was clean. The docking bay was huge and empty. Dust covered everything. No one had been here for a very long time. Deho explored the platform carefully. His engineering mind studied every detail. The technology was advanced, but different from what he knew. The aliens who built this place were not any species he had met before. He found living areas with beds and kitchens designed for beings about his size. The food makers were old, but still worked. The water systems were perfect. Best of all, the platform had a powerful reactor that could run for years. In the computer center, Deho found something amazing. The platform's database was still working. It contained records going back hundreds of years. As he learned to read the alien language, he discovered the truth about this place. The platform was not just a mining station. It was a military outpost disguised as a mining operation. The aliens who built it had been warriors who hid among the asteroids, watching for enemies, but they were all dead now. The records showed they had died in a war with another species long ago. Their bodies had been recycled by the platform's systems. Only their knowledge remained. Deho spent days learning about the platform. His human brain, trained in engineering, quickly understood the alien systems. Many of their ideas were similar to human ideas. Some were better. The platform had weapons, big weapons. The mining lasers could cut through asteroid rock, but they could also cut through starship armor. The mining drones could be changed into attack drones. The platform itself could move, slowly but surely. As Deho learned more, he began to intercept radio signals from space. Most were random noise, but some were familiar. They were from Nexus Prime. The station had not left this star system. It was still here, doing its research. But Deho now knew what that research really was. He hacked into their communications using skills he had learned during his 3 years with them. What he found made his blood freeze. Nexus Prime was not a research station. It was a scouting ship. The aliens were mapping star systems and planets, looking for worlds to conquer. They had already marked dozens of worlds for invasion, and Earth was on their list. The aliens had detailed maps of human space. They knew about Earth's defenses, about human technology, about human weaknesses. They had been planning this invasion for years. Deho read report after report. The aliens saw humans as a minor threat that could be easily defeated. They planned to enslave the survivors and use Earth as a farming world. They saved me for last, Deho said to himself. They wanted to study me, to learn about humans, and I helped them. I gave them everything they needed to destroy my own species. The betrayal was even worse than he had thought. The aliens had never seen him as a friend or even a useful worker. He had been a spy target all along. Every improvement he made to their systems, every bit of help he gave them, had been information for their war against humanity. But now Deho had something they did not expect. He had their secrets. He knew their plans, and he had a hidden military platform with weapons they had forgotten existed. For the first time since the betrayal, Deho smiled. It was not a nice smile. He studied the platform's records more carefully. The original aliens had been very smart warriors. They had designed this place to fight enemies much stronger than themselves. It was a perfect trap, disguised as something harmless. Deho began to make plans. Nexus Prime followed a regular route through this system. They would return in 6 months to continue their mapping work. They felt safe here because they thought no one lived in this dead system. They were wrong. Deho had 6 months to prepare. 6 months to turn this forgotten platform into something that would make the aliens regret ever betraying him. 6 months to build a weapon that would save Earth and punish the beings who had left him to die. He started working immediately. The platform's manufacturing systems came online under his control. The weapons systems began their first maintenance cycle in centuries. The drones started their upgrade process. Kim Deho, the human the aliens had abandoned, was no longer just trying to survive. He was preparing for war, and when Nexus Prime returned, they would learn that humans were much more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The hunter had become the hunted, the betrayed had become the betrayer's worst nightmare. And it was all thanks to their own cruelty and stupidity. 6 months passed like a fever dream. Every day, Deho worked from the moment he woke up until he fell asleep at his workstation. The platform became his body, its systems became his mind, and his anger became its soul. The mining drones were his first project. Originally, they were simple machines designed to cut rocks and carry ore. But Deho saw their real potential. He rebuilt them completely. Each drone now carried plasma cutters that could slice through starship armor like paper. He added small rockets that let them move fast in space. He gave them simple computer brains that could think and fight on their own. Most importantly, he programmed them with one simple command: destroy anything that threatened the platform. By the end of the first month, he had 50 attack drones ready for battle. The platform's main mining laser was his masterpiece. It was designed to break apart asteroids, but Daiho made it into something much more dangerous. He increased its power by connecting it directly to the platform's main reactor. He improved its targeting system using knowledge he had gained from working on Nexus Prime. He gave it the ability to track moving targets. Across vast distances, the new laser could cut a battleship in half with one shot. But Daiho's greatest weapon was not made of metal and energy. It was made of knowledge and cunning. He created a computer virus specifically designed to attack Nexus Prime's systems. For 3 years, he had worked on those systems. He knew every weak point, every security flaw, every hidden pathway. The virus was like a key that would open every lock on the station. Once it got inside their computers, the virus would give Daiho control of everything: life support, gravity, weapons, doors, even the toilets. The aliens would be trapped in their own home while he decided their fate. Daiho tested the virus on copies of the station's systems that he built on the platform. It worked perfectly every time. As the months passed, Daiho changed the platform itself. He covered it with fake damage to make it look like a broken wreck. He programmed false signals that would make sensors think it was just space junk. He created hidden weapon ports that looked like old mining equipment. The platform became the perfect trap. From the outside, it looked like a dead Hulk floating in space. Inside, it was a death machine waiting to strike. But Daiho also prepared. For his own survival, he knew that once he started this fight, there would be no going back. The aliens would try to kill him with everything they had. He built a secret command center deep inside the platform, protected by thick armor and powerful shields. He created escape routes and hidden passages. He stored enough food and water to last 4 months. If necessary, he could fight a long war from inside his fortress. During his work, Daiho often talked to himself. The loneliness was almost unbearable. Sometimes he wondered if he was going crazy. But then he would remember Veltar's cold voice saying you died a hero, and the anger would return to keep him focused. They think humans are weak, he said to his reflection in a dark screen. They think we are primitive. They are about to learn how wrong they are. Near the end of the 6 months, Daiho intercepted a message that made his heart race. Nexus Prime was returning to the system. They would arrive in 3 days. The message also contained something that made Daiho's blood boil. The aliens were discussing their next target, a human colony world called New Sol. They planned to attack it in 2 months as a test for their invasion of Earth. 50,000 humans lived on New Sol. Men, women, children who had never done anything to hurt these aliens. They were going to die just because the aliens wanted to practice genocide. Not if I can help it, Daiho said. He spent the last 3 days making final preparations. He tested every weapon, every system, every part of his plan. Everything was ready. On the morning of the 3rd day, sensors detected a large object approaching the system. Nexus Prime had returned, right on schedule. Daiho watched the massive station on his screens. It looked the same as always, cold and proud and full of beings who thought they were superior to all other life. But this time, they were walking into his web. Daiho activated his disguise systems. The platform now looked like a floating wreck, barely holding together. Its energy signature was almost zero. Any scanning equipment would see nothing but old space junk. He opened a communication channel and began broadcasting a weak signal on human emergency frequencies. To anyone listening, it would sound like a dying human calling for help. This is Engineer Kim Daiho, he said, making his voice sound weak and scared. My pod is dying. Life support failing. Please, ... If anyone can hear this, I am in the asteroid belt. I do not have much time left. He repeated the message every few minutes, just like a real person in trouble would do. On his screens, he watched Nexus Prime change course toward the asteroid belt. The aliens had heard his signal. They were coming to investigate, probably to make sure their loose end was finally dead. Daiho smiled as he watched them approach. It was the same cold smile he had worn for 6 months. Come on, he whispered. Come and see what your betrayal has created. Come and meet the monster you made when you left a human to die. The station grew larger on his screens. Soon, they would be close enough for his weapons to reach them. Soon, the aliens who had abandoned him would learn that humans never forget and never forgive. The trap was set. The hunter was coming, and Kim Daiho was ready to show them what happened when you underestimated the human spirit. Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of Nexus Prime, looking at the signal analysis on his screen. The weak human distress call had been repeating for hours. According to their records, it was coming from the same human they had left to die 6 months ago. Impossible, he said. No one could survive that long in a damaged escape pod. Zixmal looked up from his engineering station. Humans are hard to kill, Commander. Their bodies can survive things that would kill most of us. Even if he lived through the solar flare, His air would have run out months ago, Veltar said, but something about the signal bothered him. It was too convenient, too perfectly timed with their return. Holvex clicked his mandibles nervously. Perhaps we should ignore the signal and continue on our course. No, Veltar decided. If the human is somehow still alive, he might have seen things he should not have seen. He could be a witness to our activities. We need to make sure he is dead. The station moved deeper into the asteroid belt, following the signal to its source. On the main screen, they could see a large piece of space junk floating between two asteroids. It looked like an old mining platform, dead and broken. There, Zixmal said, pointing at his sensors. I am detecting a small life pod attached to that wreck. The human signal is coming from there. Veltar studied the readings. Everything looked normal. A dying human and a failing pod, clinging to life in the wreckage of some ancient facility. It was almost pathetic. Send a security team, he ordered. Bring me proof that the human is dead. If he is still alive, kill him. Yes, Commander, Holvex said. He selected his best warriors and prepared a shuttle. On the platform, Deho watched the shuttle separate from Nexus Prime and fly toward him. His heart pounded with excitement and fear. After 6 months of planning, the moment had finally arrived. He made his way to the fake escape pod he had prepared. It was filled with human equipment and personal items, all carefully arranged to look like someone had been living there for months. A recording device played his distress signal on repeat. The shuttle docked with the platform's main bay. Deho watched through hidden cameras as alien security forces stepped out. Holvex led them, his insect eyes scanning for threats. They found the fake escape pod quickly. Holvex examined it carefully, looking for signs of life. The pod is empty, he reported to the station. But there are signs the human was here recently. He might be hiding somewhere on this wreck. Find him, Veltar ordered. Search every corner. The aliens spread out through the platform, looking for any sign of human life. They had no idea they were walking through a carefully prepared death trap. Deho waited until they were deep inside the platform, far from their shuttle. Then he activated the first part of his plan. The shuttle's docking clamps suddenly locked tight. The aliens were trapped on the platform with no way to escape. What happened? Holvex demanded, trying to contact his shuttle pilot. There was no answer. The pilot was unconscious, overcome by sleeping gas that Deho had pumped into the shuttles. Air system, we have a problem, Holvex reported to Nexus Prime. The shuttle is not responding. Something is wrong here. That was when Deho sprang the rest of his trap. Hidden panels opened all around the platform. 50 modified mining drones poured out, their plasma cutters glowing with deadly energy. The aliens found themselves surrounded by machines that moved with inhuman speed and precision. This is impossible, Holvex shouted, drawing his weapon. These are just mining drones. The first alien to fire at a drone learned how wrong he was. The drone moved like lightning, dodging the energy blast and striking back with its plasma cutter. The alien was cut in half before he could scream. The security team tried to fight back, but they were no match for machines designed by an angry human engineer. The drones worked together like a pack of wolves, surrounding their enemies and striking from all directions. Within minutes, half the security team was dead. The survivors tried to retreat, but the drones herded them toward the center of the platform like sheep. On Nexus Prime, Veltar watched the security cameras in growing horror. His elite warriors were being slaughtered by mining equipment. Send more teams, he ordered. Get our people out of there. But before any rescue could be launched, something else happened. A computer virus, hidden in the shuttle's communication system, jumped from the shuttle to Nexus Prime's main computers. Deho had been waiting for this moment. The virus was his masterpiece, designed specifically to attack the station's systems using knowledge he had gained during his 3 years of faithful service. Within seconds, the virus had spread through every computer on the station. Suddenly, Deho could see through every camera, hear through every microphone, and control every system. Hello, Commander Veltar. Deho's voice came through the station's speakers. Do you remember me? Veltar's silver eyes went wide with shock. Impossible. You are dead. You wished I was dead, Deho said. You left me to die. But humans are hard to kill, just like your engineer said. All around the station, systems began to malfunction. The lights flickered. The gravity fluctuated. Doors opened and closed randomly. What do you want? Veltar demanded. Justice, Deho said simply. You betrayed me after I saved your lives. You planned to invade and destroy my species. You thought humans were weak and primitive. Time to learn how wrong you were. The temperature in the bridge began to drop. Veltar's breath became visible in the cold air. The human has control of our systems, Zixmal said, his scales pale with fear. He is using our own technology against us. Then take it back, Veltar ordered. But every time the aliens tried to regain control, they found that Deho was one step ahead of them. He knew their systems better than they did. He had improved many of them himself. Now those improvements became weapons turned against their creators. On the platform, the surviving security team found themselves trapped in a room that had become a prison. The doors would not open. The walls were closing in slowly, ready to Crush him, please, Holvex called out. We surrender. Show mercy. Deho's laughter echoed through the platform. Mercy? Did you show mercy when you left me to die in space? Did you plan to show mercy to the humans of New Sol? The aliens looked confused. How did the human know about their secret plans? Surprised, Deho continued. I have been listening to your communications for months. I know about your invasion plans. I know about the worlds you plan to destroy. I know everything. On Nexus Prime, panic was spreading. The alien crew ran through corridors as environmental systems went crazy around them. Some areas became too hot to survive. Others became freezing cold. The artificial gravity turned on and off randomly, sending people floating or crashing into walls. But Deho was just getting started. He had spent 6 months preparing for this moment, and he intended to make it last. The station that had betrayed him was about to learn what happened when you made an enemy of humanity. The main bridge of Nexus Prime had become a frozen nightmare. Ice crystals formed on the walls as Deho dropped the temperature to just above freezing. The cold-blooded Screeth moved slowly, their reflexes dulled by the chill. The proud Korthani shivered in their thin robes. Commander Veltar's breath came out in white clouds as he tried to regain control of his station, but every command he gave was overridden by the human who had taken over their home. Status report, Veltar demanded through chattering teeth. All systems compromised, Zixmail reported. His green scales had turned almost blue from the cold. The human virus has infected everything. Life support, weapons, navigation, communications. He controls it all. Impossible. A primitive human cannot outsmart our technology. Deho's voice filled the bridge.com, and cold as the air around them. Your technology? Commander. Half of your improvements came from my work. Your shield system. I designed the upgrades. Your navigation computer. I fixed the errors. Your programmers made your life support efficiency. I increased it by 30%. Veltar S. Silver eyes widened with understanding. You have been planning this for 6 months, Deho confirmed. Every day since you left me to die. Every hour since I learned about your plans to destroy humanity. Did you really think there would be no consequences for your betrayal? Around the station, the surviving crew members found themselves herded by the environmental systems into the main cargo bay. Doors opened and closed to guide them like cattle. Those who tried to resist found themselves facing sudden changes in gravity or temperature that forced them to comply. Soon, almost the entire crew of Nexus Prime was gathered in one place. Thousands of aliens from dozens of species, all at the mercy of one angry human. Deho appeared on the cargo bay's main screen. He looked different than the friendly engineer they remembered. His face was harder, his eyes colder. 6 months of isolation and anger had changed him into something they barely recognized. Welcome to your trial, he said. The aliens muttered among themselves in fear and confusion. A trial? What right did this human have to judge them? You stand accused of crimes against sentient life, Deho continued. Conspiracy to commit genocide. Planning the invasion and enslavement of peaceful worlds. The murder of millions of innocent beings whose only crime was being in your way. This is ridiculous, Veltar shouted. You are just one human. You have no authority here. I am the only judge. You have, Deho replied, and I have all the authority I need. The main screen changed to show files from the station's database. Planet after planet appeared, each marked for conquest. Species after species labeled for enslavement or extinction. Let me show everyone what you really are, Deho said. The first file showed a peaceful world of farmers and artists. The aliens had marked it for resource extraction, which meant killing everyone and stripping the planet bare. The second file showed a space station full of refugees from a war. The aliens planned to capture them and sell them as slaves. The third file showed Earth. Your final target, Deho said, my home, my species. You planned to kill 2 billion humans and turn Earth into a farm for your empire. Many of the aliens in the cargo bay looked shocked. They had not known about all of these plans. Only the senior officers had seen the complete files. Some of you are innocent, Deho admitted. You joined this mission believing it was peaceful. Research, you have been lied to by your leaders. He pointed at a section of the crowd. Young Navigator Keitel of the Korthoni. You showed me kindness when others did not. You tried to teach me about your culture. You are not guilty of these crimes. The young alien looked relieved and grateful. Engineer Proxel of the You worked with me on the shield improvements. You treated me as an equal, not a primitive. You are innocent. More aliens began to look hopeful. Perhaps this human would show mercy after all. But then Deho's expression became cold again. Commander Veltar, Security Chief Holvex, Science Director Melthran. You three planned these genocides. You ordered the death of entire worlds. You are guilty. The 3 senior officers were suddenly surrounded by force fields that lifted them into the air. What are you going to do to us? Veltar demanded. Justice, Deho said simply. The cargo bay's walls became transparent, showing the view of space outside. In the distance, they could see Deho's platform, still disguised as a wreck. You wanted to kill billions of innocent people, Deho said. You planned to destroy worlds full of families and children, and artists and dreamers. You saw entire species as nothing more than obstacles to your empire. The platform's main mining laser began to glow. But I am not like you, Deho continued. I will not commit genocide. The innocent among you will live. They will carry a message to the rest of the galaxy. The laser fired, but not at the station. Instead, it struck a nearby asteroid, vaporizing it completely. That is what I could do to your homeworlds, Deho said, but I will not. Innocent beings do not deserve to die for the crimes of their leaders. Many of the aliens looked confused. If he was not going to kill them all, what was his plan? Deho answered their unspoken question. The innocent will be placed in escape pods with evidence of your crimes. You will spread the truth across the galaxy. Every world will know what your empire planned to do. Escape pods began launching from the station automatically. The younger crew members, the ones Deho had judged innocent, found themselves safely aboard with copies of all the invasion plans. Soon, only the senior officers and their loyal followers remained on the station. And you, Beltar asked, what happens to us? Deho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was filled with the pain of betrayal and the weight of justice. You will face the same mercy you showed me when you left me to die in space, he said. The mining laser turned toward Nexus Prime. The same mercy you planned to show the children of Earth. The laser began to charge for a final shot. None at all. The laser beam cut through space like the finger of an angry god. It struck Nexus Prime's main reactor section and sliced through the massive station like a sword through paper. For a moment, the station held together. Then it began to break apart in a chain of explosions. Deho watched from his platform as the ship that had been his home for 3 years died in fire and light. He felt no joy in the destruction, only a cold satisfaction that justice had been done. In the escape pods, scattered around the system, hundreds of aliens watched their former ship burn. They carried with them data files that would change the galaxy forever. Proof of their empire's plans for conquest. Evidence of genocide prepared. In secret, the truth about what their leaders had really been doing. Deho opened communication channels to all the escape pods. You are free to go, he told the survivors. Take your evidence to every world in the galaxy. Tell them what you have seen here. Tell them that humanity is watching. But his work was not finished. In the station's database, he had found something else. The locations of every alien military base, every government center, every strategic resource in their empire. He now possessed intelligence that could destroy dozens of civilizations. Many humans would have used this information to strike back, to become conquerors themselves. But Deho remembered something his grandfather had taught him long ago. The measure of a person is not what they do to their enemies, but what they choose not to do when they have the power. Instead of launching attacks, Deho began broadcasting a message to every corner of the galaxy. The signal was strong enough to reach every inhabited world, every space station, every ship. My name is Kim Deho, the message began. I am human. 6 months ago, I saved the lives of 10,000 aliens, and they repaid me by leaving me to die in space. They betrayed me because they saw humans as primitive and worthless. The message played on worlds across the galaxy. Millions of beings stopped what they were doing to listen. They planned to invade and enslave my species. They planned to destroy dozens of other worlds as well. They saw themselves as superior to all other life. They were wrong. Images from the station's database accompanied his words. Invasion plans, target lists, casualty estimates. The galaxy saw the truth about the empire that had claimed to be peaceful explorers. Humanity is not primitive, Deho continued. We are not worthless. We are not easy victims. We remember our friends and our enemies. We can be the greatest allies you will ever have, or the most dangerous enemies you could imagine. The choice is yours. The message concluded with coordinates. This information is being transmitted to Earth and to every world that was marked for conquest. Use it to defend yourselves. Use it to demand justice. Use it to build a better galaxy where no species is seen as superior to another. With his message sent, Deho turned his attention to the final task. He programmed the platform's computers to transmit all the alien intelligence data to Earth. Humanity would need this information to defend itself and to help other threatened worlds. Then he set course for home. The journey took 3 months. During that time, Deho received hundreds of messages from across the galaxy. Some were from humans, thanking him for his sacrifice and his warning. Others were from alien worlds, asking for help against the empire he had exposed. A few were from the empire's remaining fleets, promising vengeance. Deho deleted those without reading them completely. When Earth's outer colonies came into view, Deho felt something he had not experienced in almost a year. Hope. He was home, his people were safe. The galaxy knew the truth. Human ships approached the massive alien platform cautiously. They had been expecting some kind of invasion fleet, not a single human piloting an alien fortress. Unknown vessel. Came the challenge from a human patrol ship. Identify yourself. Daeho smiled for the first time in months. This is Engineer Kim Daeho, returning home. I bring gifts from those who underestimated us. The platform was escorted to the main orbital station above Earth. When Daeho docked and stepped onto human soil for the first time in 4 years, he was met by officials from the government and military. Mr. Kim, said Admiral Park Jae-sung, the head of Earth's defense forces, we received your transmission. The entire galaxy is talking about what you did. I did what had to be done, Daeho said simply. You've changed everything. The Admiral continued. The alien empire is in chaos. Their vassal species are rebelling. Dozens of worlds are demanding independence. And humanity, he paused, looking at the massive platform through the station's windows. Humanity is no longer seen as a minor species that can be ignored. Daeho nodded. Good, we should never be underestimated again. The platform was studied by Earth's best scientists and engineers. The technology inside advanced human understanding by decades, but more importantly, it became a symbol. The aliens had intended to use it to scout worlds for conquest. Instead, it became the flagship of humanity's new space fleet. 6 months later, Daeho stood on the bridge of the platform, now renamed New Soul's Revenge in honor of the colony world he had saved. Around him, human and alien crew members worked together. Many of the aliens were refugees from the Empire, species that had been enslaved or threatened. Sir, reported Lieutenant Commander Han Soyoung, his humans second in command, we're receiving a distress call from the Altair system. Pirates are attacking a refugee convoy. Set course for Altair, Daeho ordered. Maximum speed. As the platform jumped to hyperspace, Daeho reflected on how much had changed. He had started as a simple engineer trying to help. He had been betrayed and left to die. But in the end, that betrayal had created something the galaxy desperately needed. A protector for the weak, a defender of the innocent, and a warning to those who would prey on others. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about humanity. They had discovered that humans, when pushed to the edge, did not simply break. They evolved into something their enemies never expected. And Kim Daeho, the human they had left to die, had become their teacher. The platform jumped through space toward its next mission, carrying the message that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. We are here. We are watching. And we will never be victims again. In the depths of space, other alien empires received reports about what had happened to Nexus Prime. They studied the data carefully, noting how a single human had destroyed an entire invasion fleet. Most of them came to the same conclusion. Humanity was not a species to hash part 2. Survival against all odds. Daeho woke up in darkness. His head felt like someone had hit it with a hammer. Every part of his body hurt. For a moment, he could not remember where he was or what had happened. Then the memories came back. The solar flare, the betrayal, the aliens leaving him to die. He was alive. Somehow, impossibly, he was alive. Daeho tried to move and felt metal around him. He was inside something. His suit's emergency lights came on, showing him a small, dark space. He was in an escape pod, but not one from the station. This pod was different. Older. The writing on the walls was in a language he had never seen before. His suit's computer beeped weakly. The radiation readings were still high, but not deadly anymore. The flare had passed. His air supply showed only 2 hours left. How did I get here? He whispered to himself. Slowly, the memory came back. When the flare hit him, his damaged suit had exploded outward. The force had pushed him toward a piece of space junk, an old, dead pod floating in the asteroid belt. He must have crashed into it and somehow gotten inside. Daeho looked around the small pod. It was very old, maybe hundreds of years. The alien writing was carved into the metal walls. But the most important thing was that it still had some power and air. His suit was badly damaged. Burn marks covered the outside. The radiation detector was broken. But the life support still worked. Barely. He found the pod's control panel. The buttons were different from anything he knew, but engineers think alike, no matter what species they are. After an hour of careful work, he got the pod systems working. The pod had been drifting in space for a very long time. Its original owners were long dead, but human luck and alien engineering had saved his life. But he was not safe yet. The pod's air would last only 6 more hours. The food maker was broken. The water recycler worked, but barely. He needed to find a real shelter soon, or he would die slowly instead of quickly. Daeho used the pod's weak sensors to scan the area around him. The asteroid belt stretched in all directions. Most of the rocks were just rocks, but one reading looked different. There, hidden behind a large asteroid, was a structure. It was big, maybe the size of a small city. The sensors showed it had power and atmosphere. What are you? Daeho asked. The darkness. He fired the pod's tiny engines and moved toward the structure. As he got closer, he could see it better. It looked like a mining platform, but much larger than any he had ever seen. Strange towers and equipment covered its surface. It was clearly very old, but not dead. The platform had docking bays. Daeho guided his pod toward the nearest one. He had no choice. His air was running out. The docking bay opened automatically as he approached. Someone or something was still controlling this place. Deho felt fear, but also hope. Anything was better than dying alone in space.